Hey everybody, welcome back. This is not a Twitch recording. Do not concern yourselves. This is a real YouTube video. No wink wink necessary. CLWT6A2V, 8 rate of fire, 4 damage. No idea what our HP is. Why did I do an Eden run? Well, hold on. Eden isn't random. My mistake. Just running on muscle memory. But it isn't Eden in so many ways the most random of all. I apologize. It's my mistake. You know, we got like a year and a half of muscle memory on that Eden streak, you know? Or the Eden pseudo streak, let's call it. This run, I'm going to tell you right out of the gate. To call it a guaranteed win, it's probably a little much, but it's not far off. Really, it depends on our HP right now. If our HP is golden, then we stay golden as well. If our HP is not golden, we could die on this floor because we're not going to reroll since our stats are so good. But if it's bad and we notice on the next floor, it's poopy and I know it. Then we'll just reroll until we get the kind of run we desire, you know? Sorry, I didn't mean to make an LMFAO reference. I don't like to reference classic rock like that. You know what's messed up, man? I was thinking about this the other day, you know? So I was thinking about what I call the Breslin Paradox. Can I explain to you? I made this up myself. This is like, you know the Wadsworth constant where like anytime you watch a YouTube video, you can skip the first 30% of it and not actually miss on any content because every YouTube video starts with an intro that's like, hey guys, you know, 3D flash animation, swirling, you know, 3D art with my channel name pops in, etc., etc. Today we're going to be showing you the something, 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 something. Before we start the video, make sure you click the like button. Smash that like button if you want to get massive gains in 2021. So I'm going to need you to smash the like button. Thank you to everybody who smashed the like button so far. Speaking of which, if you're enjoying this Isaac episode, please do smash the like button. I'm trying to keep the chains moving on YouTube here. Anyway, but it's called the Breslin Paradox, and it relates to how the passage of time feels different with how you age. Why is it called the Breslin Paradox? I'll explain to you. 2006, a little movie comes out called Little Miss Sunshine. Go see it with a friend of mine, the local movie theater. Delightful film. Steve Carell, kind of his first like dramatic role. It's a comedy, but it's also a dramatic role. You know, after The Office, all of a sudden you go like, hey, this guy, he's not just from 40-Year-Old Virgin in The Office, he's got like some deliberate dramatic acting chops as well. Who played Little Miss Sunshine herself? That's Abigail Breslin, little 9-year-old child actress, right? You go, that's just a little kid. I'm like not necessarily a fully grown adult, I was like 17 years old, but you're like, that's just a little kid, and I'm like an adult. All of a sudden, you know, 4 years pass, and you watch Zombieland, and you're like, who the heck is playing the teenage girl that's running with Emma Stone? And you're like, what the heck? That's Abigail Breslin? She's grown up so much in just 4 years. She used to be like a little kid. Now she's like still a kid, but like not as young. You know, and it gets you thinking about the passage of time. Because even, you know, from 17 to 21, for me in that period, it was like 4 years. Hold on. Let me see what we got here. We do not like chaos. We might like the compass. 4 years was enough to like shock me that like I forgot Abigail Breslin existed. And then the next time I saw her, it's like seeing your niece or your nephew that you haven't seen in like 5 years, right? In your mind's eye, they were like a little kid, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, you got like a little teenage mustache thing going on. I didn't know. I thought you were still playing with Beyblades. And he's like, I am. And you're like, okay, well, you know. But anyway. But now, like, so that was 4 years. Like, when I was 17, 4 years was a long time. Now I am 32. And 4 years is nothing. Like, child actors that were in movies. I don't even know where I'm going with this bit. Like, child actors from movies and TV shows from, like, the turn of the decade. Now they're like, we definitely just want that, I think, for now. We could probably reroll and take that, but why would we take this item and then reroll if we like what we got, you know? I'm trying to think of, like, it no longer feels, let me put it this way, the difference between how you felt in 12th grade and when you thought about 9th grade, you probably hit yourself with some comments. Oh, we were so young back then, you know? For me, you have gone through your entire, like, 9th grade, to, you know, postgraduate degree history, and it just, like, the passage of time means nothing to me anymore. That's the Abigail Breslin Paradox, is like, well, I don't know, I guess I didn't really come up with a coherent way to describe it, but you get what I mean? Like, the basic gist of it, if you want to reduce it, if you want to make it as easily digestible as possible for the masses, you know, as you get older, it takes a longer passage of time for you to feel like there's been a monumental change in yourself or in the world, you know what I mean? When I was a teenager, a child actor being in a movie and then seeing them in another movie 2 years later, it was like, what? I'm so old. Where did the time go? Daniel Radcliffe used to look like a 10-year-old. Now it's 2 years later and he looks 12. That's crazy. That's insane. Now that well, you know what I think it is? I'm 32. I think I said I was 33 in this video. That's we're getting to the age where I'm like, you know what I mean. We don't use an exact number anymore. Like when you're a little baby, they're like, hey, the baby's only like 3 days old. Then the baby's 6 weeks old. Then the baby's 6 months old. Then the baby is, you know, 3 years old. And then, you know, hold on. I think we're just going to get rid of the D100. This run is too good to compromise on it right now. By the time you reach my age, nobody even uses exact numbers anymore. They're just like, he's in his 30s. And then when you pass 65, it doesn't even matter. They're just like, he's a senior citizen. From the age of 65 till the end, you're just a senior, I think. Nowadays, if you get my age right within, like, when I was a kid, it was like, you know, somebody was like, oh, how old are you, 11? You're like, excuse me, I'm 11 3/4. Scumbag. Now if somebody's like, how old are you, 35? You're just like, it's not even worth the effort to correct them. You're like, yeah, basically. One day. God willing. Anyway. I forgot what I was even saying, man. Anyway, like, look, you get the idea. Basically, the idea is, nowadays, like, I was thinking, you go through this period where, you know, I graduated from high school in 2006. And in 2010, when I graduated from university, it was, like, mind-blowing. Like, whoa, can you imagine graduating from high school in 2010? Whoa, it's crazy to me that there's, like, people younger than I am, dude. That's insane. Nowadays, I'm like, you know, 2010, 2015, whatever, you know, call me when you got a job. I don't know what the bit is, okay? I didn't mean for the punchline to go in the okay boomer direction. I'm just like, I think it was one of those thoughts that, like, occurs to you while you're falling to sleep, and it makes perfect sense to you because your brain came up with the idea. Then when you have to explain it to somebody else, you're like, I apologize. It turns out that what I thought made a lot of sense makes no sense at all. I can't remember if I told this story in an Isaac episode, but I remember it was probably only like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I sleep with earbuds in, so I can listen to timely audiobooks like the Ron Chernow biography of Ulysses S. Grant. You know, just in case it becomes relevant to me at some point in my life, if I need to know what Ulysses S. Grant did during the Mexican-American War. Back in, like, you know, 1853. But anyway, so I sleep with earbuds in. I remember I woke up at night, like maybe 2 or 3 in the morning, and Kate was still awake. She was like, because she has to wake up in the night sometimes to, like, you know, again, handle the food supply for the baby, if you catch my drift. And I, like, shot up out of the bed, basically, and I was like, here. And I offered her an earbud, and she was like, what's this? And I was like, just in case you need it. And then she was like, that's okay, I got my own. And I just went like, okay, suit yourself. And I remember feeling in the moment. Obviously, my brain was like still stuck somewhere in between stage 3 and stage 4 sleep. But in my head, I was like frustrated. I was like, well, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make her drink. If she doesn't want the earbud, then fine. She doesn't need the earbud. But I was kind of like indignant in the moment. I was like, why doesn't she understand that I'm trying to do her a favor by giving her one of my earbuds for no reason when she's just trying to fall asleep? You know, so your sleepy brain is a strange creature. You know what I mean? I think the other thing is, and maybe this is the real meat and potatoes of the Abigail Breslin paradox that I'm trying to concoct. When you are, let's say, 16 years old, I think most people tend to be a very good judge of other people's ages. Like, I felt like when I was, and partly because you're, like, in school, right? So, like, you interact with a lot of people who are like if you ride in the school bus, you see people who are in kindergarten, so you know what kindergartners look like, and you see people that are in 10th grade, you know what 10th graders look like, right? Once you get out into the working world, and the older you get as well, that kind of like falls by the wayside. So like, you know, when you're like a teenager and you see a little kid, you're like, whoa, they're a little kid. Then when you're an adult and that little kid has become a teenager, you're like, what? That little kid became a teenager. Now, at 32, and like, don't be offended by this, I would say everybody under the age of 20 for sure looks like a little kid to me. And I don't mean that to be rude. If anything, you should take it as a compliment. You know, the part of your life where you're going to be offended by people saying that you look younger than you actually are is, in the whole scheme of things, a very small cross-section of your overall lifespan, right? For the most part, you know, like, I'm 32. If somebody said, like, how old are you, like 26? I wouldn't be like, flattery will get you everywhere. You know, I would be like, nah, I'm 32, but still. Honestly, dude, I think we're out of this floor. I don't like this curse when I take damage. This scares me. Alright, it turns out we had 9.5 HP, so we probably shouldn't have been too frightened, but... But, like, if people were like, how old are you, 40? I'd be like, fair, but no. Anyway, yeah, I really feel like I've become, like, a terrible judge of someone's age as I've gotten older. Like, there are really only 4 ages that, well, there's like 5 or 6 ages that people can be now in my head. There's baby. That's an obvious one. You know, it's a baby. You know, they're not walking around of their own volition. They're, you know, just chilling and going like agoo all day. Very familiar with baby right now. There's like little kid. It's obvious as well. Teenager. They're always yelling at me when I'm outside. Hey, you! Old man! Hey, what? What's your favorite album? I bet it's 1977's Asia by Steely Dan. Hey, how dare you? But also, when Josie comes home, so good. She's the pride of the neighborhood. I mean, when they're right, they're right. There's a little bit of truth in every lie. You know what I mean? And then there's younger than me, my age, older than me, and ancient. That's like, there are no longer, like, you know, 100 ages from 1 to 100 in my head anymore. There's only like those 6 or 7. Baby, little kid, teenager, adult that's younger than me, roughly my age, older than me, and then ancient. Like, for example, my baby is a baby. My nieces, little kids. I'll be honest with you, I actually don't know any teenagers, I think. Gotta wait a few years until my nieces are teenagers, and then my baby will be a little kid. And then I'll need to meet a baby. Maybe there'll be a baby in my life, whether it's mine or otherwise, that we could, you know, add to the... It's not like you need... It's not an infinity gauntlet. You don't need to know one of them at all times, I suppose. I'm just saying. And then, younger than me... I don't know if I know any younger than me either. By the way, how old is younger than me? I would say anywhere from like, you know, 20 to 28. I'm like, this person's younger than me. My wife is 28. She's my age. Even though she's like 4 years younger, she's my age. I'm sorry, don't tell her I said that, but 32 is 28, is, you know, 30 is 34, etc., etc. It's all, to me, it's, from my frame of reference, they're all in that same window. My parents are older than me, and my grandparents are ancient. I mean that as a compliment. I would love to get to ancientness myself one day. I will never be offended by being called old, you know? I think that it's, you know, what are you gonna do about it? There's only one way to circumvent that, unless you're like, you know, Elon Musk or Aubrey de Grey or something like that. Who's Aubrey de Grey? He's the guy who's trying to eliminate old age? It must be working, because, you know, he's using the same profile photo on all the social networks that he was using back in 2009 when we studied him in biology class. That's one way. That's one way to never age, is to just never change your social media profile photos. Anyway, this is a nice bookworm here. And I imagine that it probably, like, once you get to be like the end, yo, okay, fine, I took damage. This one goes out to those people who are like, I haven't watched in 4 years, but I still feel some ownership over the content. It's so sad. What happened to Zany Egg? Zany Egg is still out here. Look at this. Whoa. Wasn't that zany? The man used the fool card to move one room instead of just walking. I'm just freestyling, saying what. Sometimes when I freestyle, I lose confidence. I'm sorry. Back to talking about low MER mutual funds. I think when you get like really old, like when you get ancient, there are just pals, which are people your age, and then whippersnappers. I think it really becomes like a binary sort of deal. People that are your age are pals. How you doing, pal? People that are younger than you are whippersnappers. Hey, look at that whippersnapper out there. Hey, where's the fire? Where you going? Hey, there's a line up here, whippersnapper. Nobody's getting the Italian wedding soup before me. This is Jerry's line. You know what I mean? All right, let me caffeinate here. Clearly, I need it. So anyway, that's exhibit 400 in the, you know, life changes slightly as you get older thesis that I've been operating on for, I don't know, my entire life so far. How am I doing? Doing well. Thank you for the question that you may or may not have asked. Enjoying the new stream schedule. Now, there's been a little, not much. I don't want to focus on the friction, because there's been way more positive out of the stream schedule than negative. But as with, you know, any time that there's a change, even if it's what you perceive to be a minor change, the people that do not like the change or like things more before the change are like, hey, I preferred things before the changes came to pass. But so yeah, some of the Spelunky content and inevitably soon some of the chess content is going to be taken from the streams, and there's a little bit of a different demeanor on the streams than there is in the videos. I'm just going to give you like this is like a reality situation, and I don't mean that to sound patronizing, but old NL was a fool. He was operating bad work-life balance, and like I think that I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this. I was way more concerned about not delivering the exact quantity of content that I had become known for. Like, that had become part of my identity, right? Which is why the baby stuff, like, it's not stressful in the sense, like, you know, oh, I wonder, like, what life is gonna look like after the baby or whatever. Like, I'm not worried I'm gonna lose, like, my whole career. Mostly because people are, like, really nice. And they're, like, take as much time as you need and, you know, do what you gotta do, right? Which is amazing, don't get me wrong. But, you know, in my head, I've had, like, real anxieties. Like, these real thoughts that you might think are silly, but that pass through my head is like, oh, how annoyed are people gonna be if after, you know, 110 episodes of Spelunky 2, I miss a day of Spelunky 2. Like, it's hard to get yourself out of the mindset that, you know, really, like, just by you taking that, you know, 45 minutes a day to maybe make other content or, like, spend time with your family, the, like, 20,000 people or whatever that watch that series every day are gonna be, like, their day is gonna be ruined. They're gonna, which is, some people will comment and be like, you know, hey, where's Spelunky? I look forward to it with my cereal every morning. But, like, there's also, you know, most people, when I see that they have not uploaded content that I want in, like, a day or something like that, I just do what most people do and go, like, oh, okay, I guess I'll watch something else this morning. You know, they must have something going on. But, yeah, the strict reality of the situation, it's, like, temporally, like, within a time context, it's impossible for me to produce the same frequency. I definitely will here. It's impossible for me to produce content with the same quantity that I did before the baby. It's probably possible, but it definitely wouldn't be fair to my wife to be like, you know, hey, I'm gonna, cause like I was honestly like, and you can go back and like watch the YouTube videos, you know, from pre-baby. Like I was genuinely doing like 3 to 5 bespoke videos a day for YouTube, like videos specifically made for YouTube, doing, you know, the stream as well, and then on top of that, you know, like splicing up some of the content for social media, and like, you know, setting the videos took a long time. Sometimes it took like an hour a night on top of everything else. So I'm not complaining about like the frequency of the work and the amount of the work, because I enjoy it. And, you know, at the end of the day, I've always kept in perspective that it really is, you know, playing video games while cracking jokes, which is a much easier job than anything else on planet Earth. For all the complaining, you know, the duties of the job are fun and simple and very fulfilling, because people tell you that they really like it, right? Most of the time. Some of the time they're like, this video could have been better, and you're like, blocked. Hey, some constructive feedback for you. When you said, I hate all people who love anime, I found that kind of rude. Blocked. I'm just joking, obviously. I don't hate all people who watch anime. I just hate myself when I watch anime. Because I don't like it as much as I think I could. And I don't know how to unlock that part within myself. But anyway, that's not the subject of this. Long story short, you know, I can't produce the same amount of content. But the new stream schedule has led to freedom to produce content that, I mean, you can see for yourself that people are enjoying watching it, whether it's on Twitch or it gets ported to YouTube later, you know? Stuff like the online trivia and the, like, would you push the button, Dr. Trolley's problem, AI dungeon, you know, etc., etc. All that stuff is doing really well. Like it's not a contest, kind of. but better than, for sure, like, you know, who would have thought that, like, some brand new style of content would work better than, you know, the 3,000th episode of the same thing? Who would have thought? You know, so all I ask is that there's probably going to be, like, Isaac, I'm really trying to do one new one every single day. Should be possible. The backlog will probably be pretty small, but it should be possible. Apart from that, you know, there's going to be some recorded content, and there's going to be some streamed content that makes it over to YouTube. But just give it a chance, you know, while we feel it out. There is a little bit of a different vibe on stream than on YouTube, but you know what I like to say: Rome wasn't built in a day. I would like it if, because I love the vibe on stream, I really do, and so do the people that watch the streams. But I also, you know, there is a part of me that's like, for the YouTube audience, I think it'd be very, my knee-jerk reaction is like, you know, yeah, it's a Spelunky 2 video every single day like it used to be, but this one wasn't made specifically to my exact standards, so I'm upset. But I think that's not the way you should look at it. Instead, you know, I think that for that kind of content, you know, we'll try to strike a balance, and it's gonna take time, but we'll try to strike a balance that, you know, is in between the current streaming demeanor and also the the current YouTube demeanor. So, you know, and it's no hard feelings either way, you know? If you've been watching for a long time, well, first off, you know, Isaac's not going anywhere, so if you're watching Isaac, I hope you stick around, especially with the DLC coming out now officially in March, which is really not that far away. But if you're like, hey, this isn't for me anymore, it's way of the world sometimes, you know? It's not a decision I made lightly to pivot a little bit more to Twitch instead of YouTube, and again, I have to stress that, like, you know, this is responding to some of the more critical feedback, but it's actually going, like, really well. Like, people are overwhelmingly very positive about it. The flip side of that is there's a certain percentage of YouTube-only viewers who are like, you know, this is not what I've come to expect. Which I can understand as well, you know? Like, there's podcasts I listen to, and this is, I'm putting myself in those shoes, because, like, I agree. There's podcasts I listen to that have kind of, like, confusing output. Some of the podcast episodes are recorded bespoke, you know? Here's our guest, you know, they're this person at this company. And some of the episodes are like, hey, we couldn't record an episode this week. So this is like a remix of like a speech that this person gave at a seminar. And we've packaged it in like a slightly different way so that it might be relevant. And you're kind of like, oh, I expected that this would be like a brand new episode, but instead, even, it's funny how the perception affects you, right? Because even if it's like a talk I've never heard, when I click on the podcast and I expect it to be a new podcast episode, and instead it's like, you know, even if it's just like this interview was actually recorded, you know, 6 months ago. I'm like, 6 months ago? Even if they don't talk about anything timely at all, this video's ancient. I gotta find something else. So, all this is to say a couple of things, especially as we're kind of getting closer to the end of the episode here. The first thing is have mercy. Like, I really I'm doing a lot on my end. And it's, you know, if you want to phrase it in the most bad faith way possible, people are like, you know, he's double dipping. We would rather have 2 single dips than 1 double dip, which makes sense, but like, it's really not, like, the option, apart from porting, like, let's use Spelunky 2 as a microcosm. The 2 options right now are no Spelunky 2, or at the very least, a lot less, or we keep playing Spelunky 2 on stream because it's a lot of fun and we still got stuff to do and the VODs make it to YouTube. Like, the dilemma is not, is he gonna make bespoke Spelunky 2 episodes, or, you know, is it gonna be, like, stream content ported over? There's no dilemma because there's no time for it, you know what I mean? Like, it's so the first thing is that I'll say is, you know, have mercy. You know, we're figuring it out, and, you know, again, within look, I told you I was zany. Again, within the community, the response is like way more positive than I even expected it could be in my wildest dreams. Like, well, it seems like everybody's loving it, right? But for the people that are, like, specifically, and it really is, like, Spelunky viewers, chess viewers, for the people who are like, you know, this isn't what I was hoping for, have mercy. You know, time is at a serious premium right now. It won't be there forever, and it's only been, like, 3 days, you know? We're figuring it out. You know, the 12 secret herbs and spices you came to love from Colonel Sanders, you know? He didn't get those figured out on day one. Day one, there were, like, 35 secret herbs and spices. The chicken was extremely delicious, but his margins were crap. So then he was like, cut the saffron out. And that's how you got the recipe you know and tolerate to this day. So just give us some time, and hopefully we'll figure it out. And then the secondary thing is thank you for the support as we've made the pivot so far. I've been talking about it a little with other content creators, by which you know that I, of course, just mean Dan, but like, I really feel, and this is kind of a weird place for us to be at the end of an episode, but I'm having like a mental, almost like paradigm shift, if that makes sense. I'm realizing for the first time in my entire life, I don't actually think I'm good at video games. And I'm having like a Voltaire sort of like absurdist realization where I'm like, you know, what I am decent at, or what at the very least people seem to enjoy from me, is talking, you know, like talking, bantering, etc., and making jokes. So I'm asking myself these questions, like don't get me, I love games. And again, it's a fun duty to do, but I'm like, all of my best material, quote unquote, is also like weirdly, like these jokes are underpinned by completely unrelated footage of like a baby in the basement, or like you know, in Trackmania, I'm doing like a 50-minute bit on, you know, what if Jerry Seinfeld wore Supreme? George, my drip, George, and there's like if you try to explain it to people, and you're like, oh, I watch him because he's funny, and they're like, well, what about the cars in the background? And you're like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like the way that you get content onto Twitch is to have it be about games, and then, you know. So I'm like, I'm kind of, we're in this, and it's a good thing. It's like a growth thing, and the gaming is not going anywhere. But instead of being like, you know, literally like 98-2 gaming versus like slightly non-gaming content, I'm trying to get it to like maybe 85 gaming, 15 slightly more like variety, and the response to that so far has been really good. But we're still figuring it out. So like I'm trying to keep, like I'm spinning a lot of plates here. That's what I'm trying to say. We're keeping as much of the gaming stuff going as possible. We're also trying to add in some variety stuff on top of that, and then the real, let's not call it like a problem, but the real constraint is just time, you know? So I hope you'll give me a little patience as we figure this all out. The good news is, like, it's patience while things are going well as well. So it's like, you know, it's not like everything's garbage right now and there's no content, and I'm like, just give me some time. You know, like, the content's been really good lately. There's just maybe like some specific, you know, rows in the spreadsheet, if you will, that are kind of like, you know, I'd prefer if Spelunky were like this instead of like this. And I'm like, you know what? My knee-jerk reaction is like, fine, I'll just cancel it because like 2 people said something negative. But instead, I'm being the bigger man, which is easy because there's not actually like a smaller man in this situation. Everyone's being polite and just sharing their opinions. But yeah, I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to find the balance that works for as many people as possible, while also like playing to my strengths as a content creator. And I'm realizing that, you know, my strengths as a content creator, gaming is part of it in some games. Chess in particular, for example, I'm at least like half decent at until I got this new monitor and my brain can't comprehend the board anymore. But it's more about the banter. It's more about the dialogue. So it's kind of like another 2021 New Year's resolution is like, you know, distilled down to brass tacks, like by searching myself, but also asking people, like, what do you like about the content? And then trying to double down on that side of things instead of just being like, well, I'd love to make stuff people would actually love to watch, but unfortunately I absolutely have to record another Spelunky 2 episode today or people are going to have my head. Anyway, for now, thanks for watching. And thanks for your support. I really appreciate it. I hope this sheds some light on the situation a little bit more. We also introduced the Breslin Paradox, which I think will become part of anthropological research for some time to come. If you enjoyed the episode, please do click the like button, smash it. It helps me out a great deal. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya!